Welcome back to Put the Metal On. My name is Dave Cullen. We're back once again for another metal music review. Today I'm going to be talking about the 9th studio album from Killswitch Engage, Disconsequence, released on the 21st of February 2025, showcasing the band's signature metalcore sound, marking their 25th anniversary. Before we talk about the album itself, let's talk more about Killswitch Engage heading up to Disconsequence. So by the time they began working on the album, they were already undisputed metalcore veterans, covering more than 2 decades of influence and a legacy built on both passionate songwriting, tight musicianship, and a signature blend of both melody and aggression. But despite all this, where exactly did they stand in the lead up to this album? Well, their previous album, Atonement from 2019, was gradually very well received, but it didn't shake the foundation of metalcore either. It had standout moments. The Signal Fire featuring Howard Jones was a fan favourite, but overall it felt like a band perfecting their craft rather than reinventing it. Certainly between 2019 and 2023, Killswitch Engage mostly stayed in their lane, touring extensively, celebrating their legacy and maintaining their high level consistency with very few risks. And to be fair, that's very understandable, especially for bands that have been together as long as 25 years. As we referred to there, Killswitch Engage have always thrived on live energy and have capitalised that on post-Atonement. Obviously, things slowed down during the pandemic in 2020, but once touring resumed once again, they hit the road hard. They played the packed festivals and headlining tours alongside bands like Parkway Drive, August Burns Red, and As I Lay Dying. The thing is, a lot of their live sets still leaned very heavily on nostalgia, with classics from Alive or Just Breathing from 2002 and The End of Heartache in 2004 still dominating their setlists. And while this consistency is very admirable, their setlists also expose a truth, that their older material still remains their strongest, while their newer releases, while solid, weren't hitting the same legendary status. One of Killswitch Engage's biggest assets going into Disconsequence was their stability. Jesse Lech, for example, has fully re-established himself as the frontman of the band since his 2012 return. His vocal performances were arguably stronger than ever as well, showcasing both his growth as a clean singer while maintaining his aggressive edge. Vocal duo Adam Dukiewicz and Joel Storytsoul remain the backbone of their sound, delivering both precision and melody, while drummer Justin Foley and bassist Mike D'Antonio proved a really rock-solid rhythm section, though they were rarely the centre of attention either. Unlike many other veteran bands, some of which we've talked about on this channel, that have faced internal conflict, lineup changes, and creative burnouts, Killswitch Engage for the most part have always remained a very tight unit. That being said, their stability has also contributed to their creative predictability now. Without shakeups, there is less outside-the-box experimentation. Now, by 2023 and 24, metalcore was beginning to evolve significantly, with bands like Spiritbox, EORA, Bad Omens, and Sleep Token all pushing the genre in new directions, incorporating elements of progressive metal, dwent, and even electrical influences as well. These were all newer bands that experimented a lot more, blending ambience, intricate production, and unexpected song structures as well. In contrast, Killswitch Engage have remained rooted in their classic metalcore formula, anthemic choruses, chugging riffs, and structured breakdowns. And while that isn't necessarily a bad thing, many fans wanted to stay true to their core sounds, while it also meant to no longer being seen as genre innovators as a result of that. Instead, they became legacy torchbearers as a result. So going into Disconsequence, expectations were high but also very realistic. Most fans didn't expect a radical shift, but some also hoped that there could at least be a few unexpected elements as well. Maybe more progressive influences or even a darker, grittier production style. And could they still deliver quality? Absolutely. No doubt Killswitch Engage could always produce a well-written, tight metalcore album. But it was also their biggest uncertainty as well, if they could still produce their best work. They had struggled to surpass their peak releases from recent years. So as they enter their 25th anniversary, they're obviously in a very unique position. They're still one of metalcore's biggest names, there's no question about that. Their classic material still defines them, with new releases adding more to their catalogue but not really redefining them either. And as I mentioned, the metalcore scene has moved on, and while Killswitch Engage still fit in that scene, they haven't been leading the charge at all. So at this stage of the career, Killswitch Engage face two options. Either they continue perfecting their signature style, playing to their strengths and solidifying their legacy as the kings of classic metalcore, or they take the risk and evolve, introducing new elements, darker tones, and possibly unexpected structures to keep them fresh. Well, now let's talk about all that by first talking about the album's overall composition and cohesion. So one of Disconsequence's biggest strengths is indeed its cohesion. The album flows very well, keeping a consistent energy without feeling too monotonous. The sequencing of the song is deliberate, with some natural transitions between both high energy anthems and more retrospective moments as well. However, the pacing also feels a little too safe as well. It lacks the unexpected left turns that could make the journey a lot more dynamic. And while fans of Killswitch Engage will appreciate the familiar structure for the most part, there's little that genuinely surprises anyone. The intros and outros are effective, but there's also a missed opportunity there, I feel, for more atmospheric interludes or instrumental breaks that could really give the album a deeper sense of movement. Now let's talk about the album's songwriting and arrangements. Now, as I mentioned, Killswitch Engage have always excelled in writing anthems for metalcore songs with emotional weight, and Disconsequence delivers to the front, no doubt. Songs like Abandon Us and Forever Aligned feature very strong hooks, while Discordant Nation brings some of the more urgent, politically charged lyrics the bands have penned in for years. That being said, the album does rely heavily on its proven formula as feared: chugging riffs, soaring choruses, breakdown, repeat. And while obviously that structure works for them, it's a notable predictability. They make some tracks blur together too easily. I feel if there was a few more progressive song structures and maybe some unexpected tempo shifts, it could really elevate the experience of the album. Lyrically, Jesse Latch is in very fine form with this album, tackling personal struggles, socialite unrest, and resilience. And while these themes obviously resonate, some lines feel also too familiar within their catalogue as well. Certainly in comparison to Atonement, which was deeply more personal with the lyrics with some fresh phrasing, Disconsequence feels slightly less inspired in spots, at least for my taste anyway. Now let's talk about the performance and musicianship of the album. The band delivers a very tight, confident performance that showcases their 25 years of experience. The guitar work and particularly the riffs are sharp as ever, with a great mix of thrash-inspired speeds and melodic sensibility. But I do feel also there are a few standout riffs in comparison to previous albums like The End of Heartache or As Daylight Dies from 2006. Jesse Latch sounds absolutely phenomenal on vocals, with a mix of both harsh screams and soaring cleans feeling as powerful as ever. His performance on tracks, in particular Forever Aligned, had shades of Howard Jones era grandeur, which long-term fans will definitely appreciate for sure. The rhythm section overall is solid, but not very remarkable either. The drumming sounds punchy and precise, but lacks the standout moments. While the bass is present, it could use a bit more presence in the mix to add more weight. Which on that, let's talk about that with the production and sound quality of the album. Produced by guitarist Adam Dukiewicz, the album features a clean, well-balanced mix, but also lacks that raw energy too. The guitars are very crisp with a polished but heavy sound. Some fans may prefer, though, a raw, grittier edge, but the clarity is undeniable, there's no question about that. As I mentioned, the drums sound good, but also a little processed at times as well, especially the snare, which felt a little overly tight and maybe lacks that organic punch. The vocals sit very well. Latch's voice sits very naturally in the mix. It's neither overpowering nor buried. Then overall, I feel Disconsequence keeps effects to a minimal, which helps maintain the band's raw energy, but it also could have used a bit more ambience and layering that could have added extra depth to the album too. Now let's talk about the creativity and originality of the album. Now this is where the album struggles for me. While Killswitch Engage are definitely perfected their signature sound, it definitely doesn't push it forwards. The album sticks firmly to the metalcore fundamentals, and while they still do it probably better than most out there, it doesn't expand the genre's boundaries at all. For me, it doesn't introduce anything as game-changing, such as The Signal Fire, for example. Some parts feel like reworked ideas from previous albums, and while would a few left-field elements help, maybe more progressive elements, I guess focus, or even different instrumentation, I think so, and probably could make it more interesting for sure. And this brings us on to our replay value and impact of the album. So it's definitely an enjoyable album, it's definitely engaging, but I'm not sure it has that staying power. Songs like Abandon Us, Forever Aligned and Discordant Nation will definitely likely be mainstays for their set lists. And while the album is overall consistent, I don't think it's groundbreaking. So it may not have the same replayability as their more iconic releases. So while it definitely reinforces Killswitch Engage's place in metalcore, it doesn't redefine them either. So to conclude, Killswitch Engage have definitely crafted another solid album, there's no question there. It definitely offers everything that fans would expect from the band. Huge choruses, tight riffs, emotional intensity. But the fact is, this doesn't push any boundaries. While it's definitely a celebration of their legacy that they have earned, it's also a bit too comfortable for their established formula. So they're celebrating what they know. And to be fair, if it works for them, so it might be too big. And that's another metal music review, folks. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked today's video, please give it a like. If you haven't followed us already, please do give us a subscribe. And please let us know what you think of the album. Do you agree or disagree with me? What are your favorite songs? Please give us a comment on what you think. We'll be back for another metal music review very soon. I hope you enjoyed this one. But until then, I've been Dave Cullen. This has been Put the Metal On. Stay safe and enjoy the metal.